our dearest President of Zoological Society of Assam, Shri Priyavata Lavkar sir, and our speaker for today's session, that is our most dearest Miss Rita Kakati Shah, ma'am, from USA. Therefore, I, Sankranti Devi, would like to take this privilege to welcome each and everyone to this session. So now, as we all have met Miss Rita Shah before, so I would like to request ma'am to kindly continue with this session. Over to you, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Sankriti. Greetings everywhere. Everyone, a very good morning from New York City and a very good evening to you as well. It's a pleasure to be here again. So, as everyone might remember, last week we talked about communications and presentations, and that was setting the tone for the leadership development series. It's a very important aspect of something we all have to bear in mind and think. Today, we're going to be going on from that and talking about confidence and what you can do to overcome that. So, Sankriti, I remember from last week, there was a song that you wanted to play. Because we're talking about confidence, we're talking about getting that inner voice out of us. I thought it might be good to start with that song if it's possible today. And if it's not, we can just carry on.
Yeah, okay. Okay, ma'am, I will do this. Ma'am, just let me know if my screen is visible.
There's some feedback, Sankriti. We couldn't hear what you said. There's some echo. I tell you what, Sankriti, if it's not going to work, let me just start with the presentation, and at the end, let's try again. Let's do that, yeah? So I will just start sharing my screen. And then Sankriti, I don't know if you wanted to just give a couple of housekeeping rules to just remind everyone to stay on mute, and just to kindly not share anybody else's screen, because if you do that, then it means the presentation goes away and it's a little bit disruptive for the rest of the class. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen now.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Oh, you're presenting. Okay, I didn't realize. Okay.
Okay.
নমস্কাৰ মই মিছেছ ভৱানী কাকতি মই এতিয়া অসমীয়া বনগীত গাবলৈ লৈছোঁ
It was indeed a very lovely song. So that
খুব
was,
ভাল লাগিলে
yeah,
Rita.
that was,
It was really wonderful. Baidu, after a long
Really,
long time, we have been listening to her songs, and she was the, as I have already mentioned, was the best singer, and still she has been practicing it. And Rita is also a best singer, best dancer. Yeah, thank you so much. Really, we are very glad.
yes,
I will tell my mom. Thank you
yes,
so
indeed.
much.
It was really a beautiful song from Ms. Bhavani Kakoti, who is the mother of Ms. Rita Kakoti Shah. So, a humble request to all the participants, please mute your microphones and please do not share your screen so that the presentation runs smoothly, and please cooperate with us. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to share my screen And the topic of today is about confidence. So, can you see my screen, everybody? Just say yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. So, last week, as you remember, for those that you attended, we talked about communications and presentation skills, why they're so important, why we need them in leadership. Today, in the next part of our youth development leadership series, we're going to be talking about confidence and how do you overcome imposter syndrome, especially in leadership, something we all experience in our lives. So, what we're going to be talking about is what is empowerment. It is a very, very popular buzzword today. But what do we mean by that? We're going to be talking about how confidence is contagious. And then what stops us from being confident? What is self-doubt all about? And then what are some hacks that we can all do to make ourselves more confident? Preparation, perception, and power poses. And then we'll summarize the discussion and then we'll open up to questions. As last week, I would love to keep this as an interactive session. So in between the presentation, I'm going to be asking you some questions, and then Sankriti, if you can do the honors and moderate for us and tell us if we have any comments or questions, that would be great.
Sure, ma'am, definitely.
Fantastic. So the first topic is empowerment. I'm going to ask you all a question. Everybody here today, let us know, have you ever lost your confidence or had self-doubt? I'm going to put my hand up there as well, because I've definitely gone through moments in my life where I've doubted myself, where I've lost confidence as well. It's something that certainly affected me and a lot of people that I know. So please just write in the chat function if you have ever lost confidence or had self-doubt. Just put a yes in there. And then Sankriti, if you can sort of just let us know how it's looking.
Yes, ma'am. Many yeses are coming on.
So here's the thing about confidence, and here's the thing about self-doubt. They go hand in hand, and it's something that affects all of us, no matter who you are, how senior you are, how junior you are, what level of industry you're in, what profession you're in. It affects every single person in some way or form in their life. So when we talk about what is essential to confidence, today we're actually here to learn about how do you create unshakable confidence.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, this first slide is still showing. Have you done it in a slideshow mode?
Yes, it's in slideshow mode. Can you not see my slides?
No, ma'am. Only the first slide is being shown till now. It's not moving. I suppose. If you just
it's sharing from my side.
Yeah, it's coming, but only the first slide is shown to us. It's like
okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna stop sharing, and then I'm gonna start again, and then you tell me if that's better.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so let me just start sharing again. Because from my side, it looks like I am sharing. So I just want you to tell me.
Actually, what happens in Google Meet, sometimes the slideshow mode doesn't work. So maybe
that could be why. Okay, can you see anything now?
Yes, ma'am. The slide is coming, right? Create unshakable self-confidence to communicate effectively as a leader. That slide is coming.
Okay.
Can you
all right, because
move the slides if that's visible to us?
All right, because I'm not showing that slide, so you're probably on a delay for some reason, because that's not the slide that I'm on right now.
Okay.
So let me go back to that slide, the unshakable confidence slide. Can you see, what can you see now?
On my side, it's still the same. I guess.
You know what? If the slides don't work, I'm just going to talk, and then you just tell me, and we'll just do this as a spoken lecture, and I will refer to the slides in between. Does that make sense? Is that okay?
Okay, sure, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my slides, because if it's not going to work, there's no point of sharing them. And I will just do it as a verbal presentation instead of a. So I'm just going to try and edit my screen so that I can see you all at the same time. Okay, can you see me as the speaker and you cannot see my slides? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm just going to verbally just go through the slides then. So basically today we're here to create unshakable self-confidence. What that means is we're going to learn about tips of how, when we have that moment of self-doubt, how can we convert that to transform into an area that we do not have any self-doubt. We feel like it's unshakable self-confidence, that we can really go out there and we can go and battle the world. We feel effective as a communicator, and self-confidence person is a leader in the world. So I want you now to think of somebody in your head, 4 people in your head, 2 or 4 people, whoever it is, that has been influential in your life, that when you think of somebody that is confident, you kind of picture these people. It could be a parent, it could be a teacher, it could be your professor, it could be a prime minister, it could be a tennis player, a cricket player, a pop star, an actor, actress, somebody who you think, when you think of them, you think of empowerment, you think of confidence, you think of somebody that feels like they control the world, they have everything in their hands. I want you to visualize those people and then think of some words that come to mind. I will give you some people that I think are very influential as well, and just add little prompts to you. So one person is Indira Gandhi, very, very, in my mind, a very, very kind of confident, popular, strong woman out there. And then Hima Das, our own Ohomia runner out there. And then who else? From a business perspective, think of Ratan Tata, business entrepreneur, executive who is really out there in the powerhouse in the world. And then world's famous tennis player, think of Roger Federer. Those are 4 names that I think of when I think of the word confidence, and I think of just different people. So I want you to think about, in your head, confident people, and then think about certain words that come to your mind when you think of those people. And whatever those words are, put them in the chat. And then Sankriti, when you start seeing some things come in the chat, just feel free to start reading them out.
Sure.
So when you think of somebody empowering, when you think of somebody confident, what are words that come to mind?
Yes, ma'am. Answers are coming. One has written, he or she can make a difference.
Yeah.
Okay. One has written strong.
Yeah.
Another has written can share ideas freely.
Mm-hmm.
Another answer is very strong mentally.
Yeah.
Another answer is parents and some of my close teachers. Maybe she is talking about whom she is
absolutely
thinking about for that word confidence. And very expressive is another answer.
Yeah.
Self-reliant.
Yeah.
Confidence and success sometimes go hand in hand.
Yeah, that's correct.
Again, another answer is good body language, proper eye contact, fluent in speech, etc. Again, another answer is accept and trust yourself. Again, another is expressive.
Yeah.
Again, another answer is motivating, of course, and very, very inspiring.
Yes.
Potentiality of epistemic life. These are the
Very good.
answers till now we have got.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing. That's exactly what it is. And confidence, empowerment means something different to everybody. You know, it's somebody that's empowering. They're very confident. They're successful. They're passionate about what they do as well. They appear relaxed. Have you ever noticed when somebody, you know, whether it's a sports person or it's somebody who's going to go speak on stage or sing, they always appear relaxed. They don't ever seem to be tense or nervous, right? They seem enthusiastic. They really, really seem to love what they're doing. They command presence. When they're on that stage, when they're on that playing field, when they're on that tennis court, they have presence. They command respect. They're very captivating. When they're on, you just watch them. They're an expert in their field. They have great posture. They grab your attention. There's some other sort of things there that really, really kind of, we tend to look at them, right? They always seem to be well put together. They seem to have a positive attitude, great at communicating, whatever that could be, whether it's through sports, whether it's visual, whether it's verbal. They're great at communicating with us. They don't seem to ever be nervous. They seem to be that calm thing. They quite often it's a public figure, right? There's somebody famous that we think about. They seem to be powerful, as some folks have already said. They appear to be very mentally strong. I know that's come across in a few of the chat things as well. They seem to own the task that they're doing. So here's the thing. Here's a little secret about everybody that you're thinking about and all of the words that I've mentioned. Every single person that you can think about that has that confidence, they're unique. No two people are the same. What that means is that, you know, even if you have two sports personalities, even if you have two politicians, two actors, two university professors, even your own parents, your mother or your father, they're very different. They're unique in their own different ways, but they command respect in their uniqueness. So the bottom line is what makes us confident is our unique selves, our own personality. We have it inside of us. So it's that internal structure that we have to almost take for ourselves and really take ownership of that. So when you think of confidence, I like to think of it as a muscle. The more you exercise a muscle, the stronger it becomes. Confidence is a muscle. Think of it like that. You know, think of when you're babies, you don't just start to walk. You have to learn how to crawl. Then you have to learn to sit up very slowly. And then eventually you walk, but you fall over, then you walk. It's like riding a bicycle. Same thing. How do you get your balance? You don't just do it. It takes many, many falls. It's the same with confidence. It's a muscle. You develop muscle memory in confidence. It comes from within. It's your inner voice. It's that strength, that fighting spirit. All of us have that fighting spirit. When I talked about last week, the name of my company, Uma, I call Uma, she is the goddess. She's representative of determination, communications, confidence. But the difference is I call her the goddess of go-getting. She is invincible. It's that inner spirit. We all have that inner spirit inside all of us. And here's another little thing. Confidence is actually contagious. Now, what do I mean by that? If you are confident, somebody else, it rubs off on somebody else. They feel confident too. And then here's something else as well. Have you heard of the phrase? And if you have, just tell me yes. And if you haven't, that's fine as well. There's a phrase, fake it till you make it. It's a popular phrase in business where you're trying something for the first time and, you know, you have to really try to show people that you know what you're doing. And sometimes you just have to have that mentality that you know what you're doing. Well, there's another phrase, which I like. It's called fake it till you become it. Confidence is that. You do something so many times from scratch, you've never done it before, but you do it over and over again that you become that persona that you are imagining. You become that fighting spirit. You become that leader in that way as well. So that's exactly the kind of messaging we're trying to get across in confidence. So here's another example. Have you noticed that confidence, when somebody looks at you and they smile, it feels like they're being kind, right? And you feel like smiling back. It's natural. It's human. We're human natures. We're creatures of comfort, but we also react on other human emotions. So when somebody smiles at us or we smile at other people, it makes somebody else feel better. If somebody else smiles at us, it makes us feel better. It's the same as taking the time to listen to other people. Taking a step back. If somebody's talking, stop and just listen to them. It makes them feel good. It makes them feel important. Showing you care about something is that inner confidence from both sides coming out. You can also ask questions. That's another way. When you ask somebody questions, it's caring. Not just caring, but also it strengthens your own mind. Everything about confidence, everything about empowerment is about growing and strengthening your mind. And also, when things don't go well and somebody gives you feedback, make sure you acknowledge it. You say thank you. You thank the other person for taking the time to give you feedback, even if you don't like it. And you digest it, you think about it. Why did they say that about me? Let me analyze what I did, how I presented, and think, how can I do something differently next time? Because somebody's trying to help you out. Don't ever see things as a negative. That's all part of the confidence journey. So when other people feel good, you feel good as well. It's the small things that count. Do you remember last week? Anybody remember the phrase, less is more? It's the same with confidence. It's the little things that count. A little smile, a firm handshake, making eye contact with somebody. It's the little things that count and that can help you on your confidence journey. Now, I wanted to ask you here, can anybody here share an experience of confidence for you, of empowerment? How do you feel it? And then Sankriti, maybe you can sort of read out any couple of questions there or any feedback or comments on that.
Actually, we have a question.
Sure.
Namita has asked, ma'am, why confidence is breaking with the behavior of other person? How consistently can we build the confidence?
Yes, that is a great question, Amrita. And actually, we're going to come to that during the presentation. One thing I will say to you is that confidence is what rules us. You know, when you wake up in the morning and you have a good day, or you feel you have a little bit of a not so good day, that's because of the confidence inside of us. That's that inner spirit, that fighting spirit. It's so important. It can make or break how we feel. Our own wellness, our own mental strength comes from that. And it's something that we can actually control ourselves. So Namrita, that's a great question. I will say that let's go to the presentation. And if you still have a question at the end, then we can tackle it again. So without further ado, I'm going to go on to the next section of this. So we've talked about just now that why we need to be confident and how it can affect other people. So let's look at what causes us not to be confident. What causes self-doubt? These are sort of and other things as well. So I'm going to ask you all some questions, and I want you to, again, write in the chat function and just say yes or no, whatever it is. So I want to ask you, how many people here today have you ever stated a fact? So you're stating something that you know so well, but you said it with a questioning tone of voice. I'll give you an example. So I'm going to say something as a fact. My name is Rita. That's one way of saying it. The other way of saying it is, my name is Rita. So the first time I said it with an even tone. The second time I raised my voice at the end. So I questioned what I'm saying. And that is something I'm bringing up because, according to research, mostly actually women, when we speak, we tend to raise our tone of voice at the end of the sentence. Why? Because women, whether we're students, whether we're schoolgirls, whether we're adult professionals, we are very empathetic. Women are more empathetic than men. And when we talk, we like to think of the other person so much that we try to almost understand and go into their footsteps. And we question everything just because we don't want to offend someone. We want to make sure that somebody understands what we're saying. And sometimes it can come across like we're questioning. But here's the thing. If you are at the receiving end, if you are listening, if I just told you just now, my name is Rita, you think, okay, great. But if I said, my name is Rita, you're going to be thinking, does she not even know her own name? So that's the thing. I think I'm trying to do you a favor, but you're thinking, gosh, who is this person? She doesn't even know what she's talking about. Then automatically you're building a slightly negative view of me, and I'm not that confident person. So that's the thing. So I want to ask anybody here, whether whoever you are, boy, girl, man, woman, have you ever stated a fact with a questioning tone of voice? It's something that we don't even think about sometimes, but we do it. I've done it as well. I know I have. And sometimes I think, oh, I didn't realize I did that. And sometimes you build up skills so you can recognize when you do things. Sankriti, do we have any comments at all?
Not yet.
So I'm going to ask you the next one then. How many people here that had imposter syndrome? Okay, who here knows or think they know what imposter syndrome is? What do you think it is? Anyone want to take a guess? And Sankriti, if there's nothing in the chat, what do you think imposter syndrome is? I'm going to ask you.
Yeah, I was about to tell. Is it like, actually, I don't know much about it. I think it's like sort of an internal experience of believing that I'm not competent as others perceive me to be.
That's 100% accurate, Sankriti. Absolutely. It's a lack of self-confidence. It's basically where you are an expert at something, you know you can do it, but you're about to go to an interview or you're about to present to your fellow class members. And then suddenly that moment of self-doubt comes in your mind and you feel that you can't do it. You feel that you're not worthy. You feel like, you know what, that's not really me. I feel at that moment, you feel like an imposter. You feel like, you know what, oh, this is not for me. And then you crumble and you have that self-doubt. And then suddenly you forget your thoughts, you get nervous and you can't present. So that's really what imposter syndrome is. It actually affects everybody at all ages. We've all had that moment where we know that we can do it and then suddenly nerves take over or something takes over and we doubt ourselves. Research shows that it's more women than men that face it, but it affects men as well. It's everybody that goes through that imposter syndrome. It's something that we all have experience with and we will have. Are there any comments? I can see something coming up on the chat. Sankriti, on that?
Three of them has answered, like it's lack of self-confidence, one answer.
Yeah.
Second is like feeling of not being good enough as others. Yeah. And third is feeling inferior.
Yes.
And we have another answer that we are too much caring about others, that is what they think, which is revealing to them, etc., make me to lose my confidence besides knowing that I should ignore it.
Absolutely. That's 100% spot on. And actually the last comment on just always thinking about other people thinking is a little bit of the questioning tone of voice as well. Because if you come across always listening to what other people think, it's going to question yourself. So that's 100% right. That's exactly what it is. And it's something we all have. So even if you are a top politician or a top tennis player, don't think there isn't a moment where somebody's gone onto a tennis court, where Roger Federer has gone onto a tennis court, or Hima Das has gone on, and she hasn't for a moment think, my goodness, like, what am I doing? I'm representing my nation, my state, my country here, right? That's a lot of pressure to take on. But the difference is when somebody's in that position, they're trained, they're mentally trained to get out of that negative thought chain and get into that positive thought chain. You know, how many times have we seen somebody play a sport and they drop the ball or something, and then we said, oh, but you know what, they lost confidence, they got nervous. That is what we're talking about. It's that moment of imposter syndrome that comes in and it takes over. So that's one. And the other one is, how many people here have had defensive body language? What do I mean by that? Okay, you can see me, I'm sitting here, I've got my shoulders back and I'm sitting upright. Defensive body language is sort of when, if I'm sitting forward and I'm crossing my arms, or I'm sitting like this, or I'm sort of looking down, or I'm like playing with my hair, but I'm just looking down a little bit. Or if I'm standing on a stage, I'm not standing like this, I'm sort of doing something with my hand, I'm I'm looking this way, I'm just sort of arched over a little bit. That's another one as well. How many people have ever thought about, caught themselves doing that? How many people are doing this now? You're sitting at, in your own respective homes right now, and you might be sitting like that as well. I know I've done it in the past as well. And why do we do that? Because it's comfortable. If you are sitting on a virtual training, a virtual lecture, it is more comfortable to sit forward or to sit like this and just lean like this a little bit. It's much more comfortable to do that. But here's the thing. If your professor, if your teacher asked you a question, and you're sitting like this, and say it's a brainstorming session, let's brainstorm, you're less likely to put your hand up and give them your thoughts if you're just sitting like this. You're more likely to, what, everyone else is talking, let me just listen today. That's the mind frame you're in if you have defensive body language. But if you're sitting like this, if you have your head up, you're sort of your shoulders back, and you're feeling upright, you feel more confident. You're getting more oxygen into your lungs. Your diaphragm is open. Even if you have a quiet voice, sitting upright, you speak loudly. This is something my mother, who you just heard singing, taught me as a little girl. I had a quiet voice when I was young. My mom has a quiet voice. But, when you're a singer, when you're a dancer, you learn posture. You learn about opening your diaphragm. So when you say even little things, it comes across as loud and confident. So that's the difference. When we talk about defensive body language, that is what we're talking about. And that's why it's so important. Do we have any comments on that, Sankriti? Or any questions on that even?
Yes, ma'am. Not questions. Actually, I have seen two answers of yes for that, posture. And one of them has answered that, and this defensive body language for me is mostly unintentional, but causes a lot of misunderstanding.
Yes.
And another one
That's
have answered that body language is related to our feelings and intentions.
Yes.
Till now, another yes for that defensive body language question. Till now, these are the answers, ma'am.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. And that's right. When you sit like that, whatever, you are giving somebody else the impression. Like, for example, if imagine if I was sitting like this and I'm just talking to you like this, what impression do you get? It's almost like, okay, does she really want to be here? What's going on? And you don't feel that same vibe. But if I sit like this and I'm giving you a talk on confidence, you feel more confident. It's the same with you. Imagine if I'm on stage and I'm talking and everybody in the audience is looking down, or you have your phones and you're on your phone and you're Snapchatting, or you're on Facebook or Instagram or something, then I will feel, oh my goodness, nobody likes my talk, what's going on? So remember, this creates an impression. It creates an impression to the recipient and the other way around as well. So it means a lot more than we think. It's something so innocent, sitting like this, but it has a lot more massive consequences. So that's the other thing there. What about, and I'm going to ask you another question here, long-winded explanations. Long-winded explanations. Remember last week we talked about less is more? So less is more is the opposite of long-winded explanations. I might tell you something, and I'll give you an example. My name is Rita. I come from London, but I live in New York. My parents are from Assam. That's me. That's a little bit long-winded. But if I say something like that, it's like, my name is Rita, born and bred in London, Assamese heritage, I live in New York. You see the difference in the way I just said exactly the same thing? One of them is more composed, shorter, and clearer. The less is more. A shorter message has a bigger consequence in the long run. So that's what we're talking about there. So long-winded explanations, we all do, but it's also a sign of being nervous. It makes you look like you don't know what you're talking about, by you're going around in circles, you're not coming to the point. So that's why it's important to talk about long-winded explanations and how to not do that. So Sankriti, are there any comments on that?
Actually, I think there are not comments rather than there are questions.
Okay, what are the questions? Go for it.
We have one question that Can trying to look confident give a way to look overconfident?
Yes. So we're actually going to come across on that. So here's the thing. Confidence is one thing. And the whole purpose of this is how do you feel your best self? But there's also a limit to confidence. When you're overly confident, you can come across as being arrogant. You can come across as being entitled. And we want to make sure that you feel empowered, which is good confidence, not entitled, which is arrogant confidence. And we don't want that. Good confidence is just what we shared. So remember we talked about, and unfortunately you cannot see my slides, the beauty of technology sometimes, but I had a good graphic and basically showed you that when we are feeling confident, part of confidence is being able to listen to others. It's being empathetic with others and acknowledging if somebody gives you feedback, you take that as a good thing. Even if they don't say it in a good way, take it as a good thing. You reflect on it later. That's good confidence. Arrogant confidence is if you kind of feel, oh, I know everything. You know what? Nobody can tell me anything. This is my thing. Whatever. I'm going to do my own thing. You're constantly speaking on top of other people's voices. Somebody says something, you're not really listening. You're only giving your own point of view. So there's sometimes a little bit of a fine line, but that's why it's so important to know that listening, empathy, and taking feedback are actually positive points of how you become confident, because that is all part of how you build yourself up. So I hope that's answered the question. Any other questions, Sankriti?
No, ma'am. It's yes for your question about long-winded explanation. And we have another participant who has told that someone is confident means he is sure of himself and his abilities in a realistic way.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we have another participant who has told that I used to talk more and now I listen to others more and talk less and to the point, make conversations a lot, which makes conversations a lot smoother.
Yes, exactly. That's a very good point, because remember, what are conversations? It's two-way. If it's a
Yeah,
soliloquy, a monologue, you're just talking yourself, but a conversation is between two people. It's a dialect. And in order to do that, one person listens, then the other person talks back like that. It's two-way stream. You have to give each other the respect to do that. So thank you for sharing that.
ma'am, we have again another question. Like, how
Yep.
can one start all these practices from today? I mean, it's tough to crack our comfort zone.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to come on to that. Yes, that's a very good question. And we're going to build onto that. And I'm going to teach you some hacks and techniques of how you can start from today itself. So before we go into that, I'm going to ask you another question. What causes somebody to lose confidence? What causes somebody? Well, I'm going to give you some examples, and I want you to give me some of your examples too. So, for example, a past experience can cause somebody to lose confidence. If you've had a bad experience, or you're trying to, I don't know, read a speech or present in front of a big, large auditorium, and in the past you did it and something bad happened. The mic failed, the lights went out, you forgot your words, somebody made a comment and you forgot something, whatever it was, it's usually a past experience that can make us remember, our brain remembers that, and then that goes forward and we kind of put that as a future example. So that's one thing. And so we have to remember the past is in the past. The future starts from now. We are defining the future from now. So this is some of the goals as well that we have to think about. And then the other thing is you might be striving for a goal that you have no structure in place whatsoever. So it always fails. So you might be thinking, okay, it's the new year and I'm going to think of starting afresh or making a resolution, and I'm going to do something better. I'm going to do all my revision. I'm going to write my thesis. I'm going to, whatever it is, I'm going to start a new thing. I'm going to dance or exercise more, become healthier. But you have no structure. You don't know how you're going to do that. You have no plan, how you're going to do it, what hours in the day. You have nothing written down. You have not written small steps of how you're going to enact that goal. So it's going to fail. It's going to flop. And then you're going to think, oh, okay, I'm back to square one again. Nothing's going to happen. I feel like a failure. And it's going to go in a spiral, non-stop spiral. So one of the big keys is when you set yourself a goal, split it up into small steps and figure out how you're going to achieve that goal. You might have a big goal at some point, but don't think of the end goal as being what you're going to do from day one. That's your long-term plan. Think of many steps of how you're going to get that. Less is more. That's the key pretty much to everything, really, if you think about it. So that's the other thing. And then remember, there's a fear. We're creatures of comfort. We're human beings. We have fear. And there's a fear of failure. There's a fear of rejection. There's a fear of, the future. What happens after the pandemic? What happens after the Delta wave? What's next? What happens after that? There's a fear. How can you possibly be confident if there's constantly something happening? Those are some things that causes us to lose confidence too, right? Then we've got to think, we can't always be in a downward spiral. We have to think about what can we do? How can we problem solve? What can we do to make better of a situation? Then the other thing as well that causes us to lose some confidence is not getting support. Not feeling supported by your own friends, your peers, or your community. Sometimes you might have an idea and you're from a very traditional family that your ideas are just too modern and you don't feel supported by them. So that's the thing. It's important to find a tribe to share these ideas with. So those are just some points there that can cause somebody to lose confidence. Sankriti, has anybody given us some extra thoughts on that as well?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Perfect.
We have answers like being nervous.
Yes.
And again, we have another answer like people we look up to expressing disappointment makes my energy go down and lose all of my confidence.
Right, exactly. That's a big one. And I want to say something about that point. It's important when we define success is on our terms, not somebody else's. Now think about that for a minute. For example, are you studying a subject? Are you passing an exam to make your mummy and papa happy? Or are you doing it because you want to further your career and your knowledge of the world? Why are you doing something? How are you defining success? Because confidence is based upon your own measure of success. So it's really important that success is defined by you. And you just now said, if somebody's seen you that you think, I'm doing a really good job, they're disappointed. Or they say, you know what, I didn't quite feel that, I didn't like it. But here's the thing. Remember we shared the example that if you're confident, you take feedback. You acknowledge what somebody says. Yes, it's disappointing. Disappointment is part of life. You cannot become successful unless you've fallen and you've failed time and time again, because otherwise you never appreciate what success is. So those are some major points to know, that if somebody gives you feedback, take that feedback. Yes, it might not feel good at the time. You think, I spent so much time to that. But analyze that feedback. Think about it. I wonder why they said that. Oh, they said maybe I shouldn't have said that example. Maybe I should something else. Always say thank you to somebody who's given you feedback and say, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you saying that. And then you take it back and you think about, why did they say that? Sometimes people have different viewpoints. There's not much you can do about that. But is there a way you could have presented it differently, said a different example to include their viewpoint as well? So these are sort of things. Convert a negative feeling into a positive. Do something about it. Every time you present something, the next time has to be even better. Sankriti, any more examples there?
Yes, ma'am. One of our participants has said that she listed 4 points about this particular question. She said social anxiety, past trauma, inferiority complex, and lack of proper information.
Absolutely. Yes. So past trauma, exactly. That's what we talked about, having a past experience, something that didn't go well. You can get post-traumatic stress disorder. That's a very real disorder that happens. If you've had something, you keep thinking it's going to happen and happen and it can happen. But here's the key. If you keep practicing, if you keep showing, I can do this, you can get yourself out of that, right? And the fear thing, yes, absolutely. We all have fear. But if we have practice and we keep doing it over and over again, you can get over that. I'll give you an example. Today I'm practicing, I'm presenting to you all, but I've done thousands of presentations now around the world and things go wrong. Today my slides didn't work. I could have decided, oh my gosh, now what? And crumbled and not being able to present to you. But I thought, you know what? This is about confidence. This is about showing you have to make do. I know my content so well that in my sleep, I can present. And that's what you have to do as well. It doesn't matter the slides. I have to now present to you as though you can see the slides. I am now the eyes and ears to help you understand this. You can't see the visual that I prepared. It doesn't matter. I've got to make you remember those visuals. So when you have that, you have to do it over and over again. To the just now your point, when you said sometimes you don't have the correct information, we can't do much about that. We can't control situation in life sometimes, but we can prepare as best as we can. Before we go and present, let's try and find out, okay, who am I presenting to? Who is the audience? What is their background? What is my full topic? Let's try to find out what exactly you do as much as possible. And you prepare and prepare and prepare over and over again for the information you have. It's not possible to always know everything. You'll never do that. But you have to make the best of the situation that you have. So I love those examples just now that you shared. Thank you so much. Sankuti, do we have any other examples?
Yes, ma'am. One of our participants has said that financial trouble and poor academic person can also have this particular, the question you have asked for.
Yeah, absolutely. When you don't have the resources, you might be very, very sort of a brilliant student. You might have a brilliant sports person. You might have a certain, you might be a natural born singer or a personality that could be on stage and be an actor. But what happens if you don't have the financial means? What happens? You think, oh, that's the end of the world, right? You can't do anything. No, that's not right. There is always a way of getting your voice and being noticed, right? Make sure, here's the thing about life. You might have all of the knowledge in the world. You might be brilliant and a mastermind. But here's a secret. That's not going to get you anywhere in life unless somebody else knows what you know. If nobody knows about your knowledge, that you have the knowledge, you're not going to get anywhere. It's just going to be hidden secret, and you're going to be that hidden gem that is yet to be discovered. So you've got to think about how you can get discovered. Think of the means you can have. You have social media. Do you have LinkedIn? Do you have some sort of education? Do you know somebody who's an academic professional? Do you know somebody who knows somebody that might know and say, you know what, I've got this talent. I want to do something about it. What can I do? I don't have the means. Or I'm so busy. I'm trying to feed my family. I'm the only breadwinner in my household right now. But you know what? I really want to do this because if I can do this, I can give my family a better life. So there's always ways of doing it. It's not easy. None of this is easy. But having that inner confidence, that conviction, that self-belief is what's going to help you go to the next level. Money doesn't make you happy. What you do with it, how, your conviction, your mentality is what helps later on. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent.
We have
Sankuti,
another answer that,
perfect.
yeah. As I mentioned, Namita has said, as I mentioned earlier, ignoring my pragmatic approach, my vocabulary, and if it removes me from work where I am competent, can lead to lose my confidence.
Yes, we all have those examples. Thank you for sharing that. Like sometimes that you might be really great at what you're doing, but if you're removed for a situation, I'll give you another example, exactly what you said, is, some people, think of pre-pandemic, pre-COVID, we had a certain lifestyle. We were meeting people. We were a lot more social. And then lockdown happens. And overnight, it was almost like we were put in a cage. Life was not the same way as we knew it. Some people were working, teaching, studying from home. That is a very new example. You might be so proficient in being a good student in the classroom, but suddenly you're on a screen like this. And you think, what do I do? How do I make my mark? How do I even answer a question? There are always situations where we're out of our comfort zone. But don't let that hold you back. Don't let fear be your enemy. Embrace the situation. Think about, you know what? It's a new situation. Let me embrace it. Let me learn something about it. Go heads in and think, I want to learn about this. Don't go become shy and hide, because these are some keys. Always try to acknowledge that fear point of yours. Face it head on. Sankriti, are there any other questions on this?
Yes, ma'am. We have that negative criticism.
Yes, absolutely. So here's the thing.
Again,
there's two things.
Yes.
I just wanted to say something about the negative criticism, that one of them I just shared, that if somebody gives you feedback, you take that feedback and acknowledge it. But then sometimes people are just negative people And you have to be able to think, okay, I know that's coming in. Let me think about that statement. Always acknowledge it and think, you know what? I think that person's just in a bad mood. People are in different moods. And sometimes people say things, even your own parent, they might say things and it comes across incorrectly or wrongly or offensively. And then they think about it, you know what? I didn't mean to say that. I was just in a bad mood about something else going on, right? So you always have to analyze the context of it. Don't feel bad. Think about how you can better yourself. What can you do? That's the sort of thing. Yes, Sankriti, next one.
We have a question that is self-confidence and self-esteem related?
Yes, absolutely. So self-esteem is inside of you, how you come across, what you're doing, what gives you that inner voice, what gives you that inner conviction. That is your self-esteem, your personality, your voice, your family, what it is that makes you live and breathe, your value system, how you think about things. That's your self-esteem. Self-confidence is absolutely related to that. How you present that inner voice comes across as self-confidence. You might have a lot of things going on, but you don't know how to present it. Here's something else. There are two main personality traits. One is an extrovert, one is an introvert. Extroverts are the ones that, there's a party or there's a room, they're the first ones to go on stage, they can be the heart of the conversation, they can walk in and they can command a room. Introverts, very knowledgeable, if not more knowledgeable, but they're a little bit shy. They're not usually the type of people that want to go out there and start up a conversation. They're more likely to just listen and observe. But that doesn't mean they're lower on self-confidence. It just means they're different in the way they come across. But in life, sometimes the introverts are the ones that get left out. In life, people think, oh, I'm giving a lecture. Who are the ones asking me questions? Maybe the ones that aren't asking aren't interested or I'm not going to pay attention to them. That shouldn't be the case. We need to help everybody's voices get heard. So you might have great self-esteem, but your self-confidence needs to come up to a certain amount to think, okay, what can I do to get my voice heard? You can absolutely, if you're an introvert, listen first, observe, but definitely try to get your voice heard. Make sure the person, the lecturer, the speaker, whoever it is, knows who you are. Even if at the very end, you still go in and introduce yourself. Pass on a business card, pass on a LinkedIn contact, but figure out a way how you can interject yourself in the conversation. And these are the really key points there. Okay, Samkriti, do we have anything else?
Yes, ma'am. We have another question.
Okay.
How can one be blunt as well as polite at the same time when sharing one's opinion?
Okay, so here's the thing. You just have to be diplomatic, and that takes practice. Some of us are natural at diplomacy, some of us are not, and it can be similar. Oh, that person's really blunt. You have to think about, if you're sharing your opinion, why are you doing it? What is the purpose? Are you doing it because you don't like the person and you want to start a fight? Are you doing it because genuinely you think you can add value and offer a different point of view? Or are you doing it because you're just trying to just sort of have a conversation with someone and you think, you know what, I just want to add some masala into the conversation. There are different ways. So I think before you give your opinion, think, what is your outcome? Why are you trying to do it? Because if you're trying to do it to offer feedback, the way to do it is always congratulate someone. So thank you for that presentation. Thank you for saying what you said. I really enjoyed what you had to say. One thing I wanted to offer is, have you thought about this viewpoint also? So that's a very diplomatic way of saying, I don't agree with you. You've thanked them for taking the time to present, but you've also offered up a different viewpoint. So think about, how are you going to flavor and how are you going to communicate? Remember last week we talked about how do you communicate, how do you do it? Remember, you start off by thanking, start off by really acknowledging that they've gone to effort to present to you, and then think about why you're saying it and how you're going to say it. So I hope that helps. We're going to go into more examples like that later on as well. Anything else, Sankriti?
One of our participants has said that most of us have no experience of speaking in English. I think this too affects us negatively.
So here's the thing. One thing we said about last week is that communication comes from the heart. It's about a message between individuals and different people. Language is not a barrier. Your confidence is what gets you across. So I don't know if, Sankriti, you did actually share that TED Talk last week, but there was a TED Talk really by a young 12-year-old boy from Africa. his English is not good at all. But he presented a TED Talk in English to an audience around the world, and he managed to get over 8 million viewers who were captivated by his story. So here's the thing. If you are confident, if you practiced what you said and you know what you're going to say and why, you are passionate about it, English is not a barrier. It doesn't matter what the language is. Even if you presented it in your mother tongue and you did it with conviction. Some people do that. They think, you know what, I can really present in my mother tongue and I'm going to have English subtitles. Or I'm going to give people a translation to look at. There are different creative ways of doing what makes you feel more comfortable. But ultimately, less is more. It's your confidence and communication that really, really helps you stand out, not the language.
Sam. Next, we have in today's scenario, is talent overrated and skill underrated? Good social skills, hard work, good social networking, advertising, does this matter more than pure talent?
So here's the thing. Actually, in next week's session, we're going to be talking about the power of networking and why you need to do that. So we're actually going into that. So next week, we're going to talk more about that. But basically, in a very short summary, it's very important how we come across to other people. It's very important who knows we know what we do. And socially, this is the note, we have to keep up with the times. And then this day and age, everything is about the social norm. How you be to others. What is your presence on the social? How are you on a digital media platform, for example? So it's important to, I would say, keep with the times and also just keep on that level of confidence. As long as we know what we're doing to such a level and we're confident about that, that is what sells us. Even if, for example, say that we're in a very digital media platform now, and then somebody comes from, in my parents' generation and they want to give a speech and they don't use digital media so much. If they're rehearsed, if they have that confidence, if they have that less is more spirit, it doesn't matter. You can captivate people in just different ways possible, and it doesn't even matter where you are. There's so many ways of actually coming and counteracting that just by your inner confidence and the way you present yourself. So Sankriti, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to proceed with the presentation. Any other comments, let's save to the end for the Q&A.
Okay, sure, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay, so let's hold the other questions for now. Keep them coming though, because I love the questions. So now we're going to be talking about, we looked at what is empowerment all about, what stops us from feeling empowered, what is self-doubt, and what causes it. But now we're going to look about what are some hacks, what can help us start from being more confident today itself. So we're going to look at something that I like to call as the four magic P's, which is preparation, perception, and power poses. And the fourth one is practice. We talked about fake it till you become it. That's what we're going to be talking about. So what is preparation? Some of you guys said, well, how do I remember? Like, what can I do to make myself just feel confident? You wake up some days, there's a phrase. The phrase is Monday morning blues. Generally, a lot of us, you wake up on a Monday morning and you feel like, oh, the weekend is over. I've got to go to the office. I've got to go to college. I've got to teach, whatever it is. Sometimes you have that feeling. So what can we do to make ourselves feel more positive? Well, there are some things called a daily mantra, a confidence mantra, I call it. And this could be unique to you. So I'm going to give you some ideas and it's up to you what you decide to do. So you could wake up in the morning and the first thing you might want to do is just write 2 key thoughts down, 2 things and 2 words. It could be that I'm a go-getter. It could be bring it on. It could be I'm happy. It could be I feel beautiful today. Whatever it is, it's unique to you and you have to believe it. It's the first word you think about in the morning. When you wake out of bed, when you come out of that, it's a word. And if you say it first thing and during the day, you become that word. You feel that word. If you say I'm happy and you're like, oh, well, I'm happy. Oh, I'm happy. You start to smile and then it becomes and it takes over how you feel. And that's what we're trying to get. And then when you have a confidence mantra, remember, what is a mantra? It's something that you repeat. It becomes your lifestyle. It becomes part of your DNA. You become that. You take some deep breaths and you say repetitive patterns. You can say something like, I am unique. I am strong. I've got this. Whatever it is that's unique to you, it's your daily mantra. You say it first thing in the morning. You say it before you go into your lecture. You say it before you're about to present to students. You say it before you go for a job interview. But you say it, you take a deep breath and you say it over and over again. And then one of the points said, what happens if you're not well prepared? Well, here's the thing. Part of preparation is you have to prepare. You research. You got to know your stuff. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had people that I've had to train when they said, you know what, I think I know my presentation skills, but I just can't do it because, and I said, well, do you know what you're presenting on? No, I don't really have the time to look into it. The first thing you have to do is prepare, research what you're doing, know it so well, have your facts and your figures, understand that. Remember, even if two people were having the same presentation, you're both unique. You're both going to present it in different ways. Remember last week where we had 4 role model situations, where we had 4 unique presentations? It's the same with this. Even if you had 2 identical presentations, 2 different people are going to present it very differently. So prepare and research your stuff because only you can present it that way. But you have to know your stuff. You have to research it. You have to prepare in advance. Ask the questions. Look into it beforehand, not the day of, beforehand. And then the last part of that is you remember to practice your delivery. If you're going to present to somebody, you can practice with a friend. If you're going to do it in person, stand in front of a mirror. Look at your body language. How do you look? Are you doing some funny things with your hand? Are you playing with your hair? Are you doing some funny stuff with your ear? What are you doing? You know, look at your body language. If you're doing a virtual session like this, record yourself on your phone, your cell phone. Watch yourself. Present onto a cell phone and play it back and see how you sound, see how you look. Are you speaking slowly? Are you pausing? Are you smiling when you see people? What are you doing? So these are really, really important facets for that delivery and to mirror that. And you can practice in front, with a friend as well. Absolutely. There's no reason you couldn't do that even around the dinner table at home with family members. It's all part of presenting, having a conversation. How would you talk about a certain topic very convincingly? It's practice and believing in it as well. So that's the preparation part. And then perception. I'm going to ask you a question. How long do you think it takes for somebody else to form an opinion about you? So say you met me for the first time on this platform. How long did it take for you to form an opinion? It may be a wrong opinion or a right one, doesn't matter, but to form an opinion. Because first impressions absolutely count. But the first impression, how long does it take to form a first impression? Does anyone want to guess?
One of our participants has said 5 seconds.
Absolutely, yes. So there's several bits of research that shows anywhere from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. 6 seconds is the rule I like to go by. It takes 6 seconds for somebody else to form an opinion about you. Just because of the way you look, maybe that your name is written out, they see your name, they see some clothing that you're wearing, your accent, your hairstyle, whatever it is, it makes somebody have an impression. So you want to make that impression count. And here's the other thing. We all have our own value system. We all have our own biases. When we have that opinion doesn't shift. That impression that somebody has about you after that very first 5 or 6 seconds sticks in somebody's head. That impression hardly ever shifts. And that's why it's so important to make that first impression count. I tell people, when you're going to go, whether you're virtual, whether you're in person, dress the part. Feel and look your best. If you feel your best, if you look your best, you feel a bit better. Sometimes you think, oh, I'm wearing something that I feel more confident in, I feel better in. You do that. You feel and look your best because that is what people can judge you on. Body language. We spoke a little bit before about defensive body language, like you're sitting like this, you're sitting like this. Body language. People can form an opinion about you because of your body language. If you're like this when you greet people, if you're smiling, if you make eye contact, that's one viewpoint versus something else where you're not even looking at people. That's the other thing. And then your tone of voice. Remember another example earlier that talked about, do you put a question at the end of your sentences, or do you have an even tone of voice? Your tone of voice, people form opinions about you because of the tone of voice. What about your speed of talking, your pace of delivery? That's something else. People can very much form an opinion about you because of the way you're talking. Are you talking too fast, too slowly, just on time? These are all things that people form opinions about. And remember ultimately that you've got this. You've got to remember that at all times. It's something that you've got to remember, that you know about. It's something that you all have that conviction for. So these are all things about that perception. It's all about things that really, really sticks in people's minds about that. So now we looked at practice, we looked at perception. Now we're going to look at power poses. And this is actually one of my favorite exercises because it's a practical exercise. And I'm going to ask you guys to take part at some point. So did you know that enacting a power pose for just 2 minutes can change your body chemistry? Your body chemistry. So research was done by Dr. Amy Cuddy in the United States that showed that there are two main hormones that really make us feel confident and make us feel nervous. Those two hormones are testosterone, and that's sort of more prominent in males, but also females have them too. And the more testosterone you have, the more you feel like, ready to fight a battle, that's sort of ready to kind of get out there. And then cortisol is the second hormone. The more cortisol you have, the more nervous you feel. You're about to go speak, you feel confident, and suddenly, my palms, they're getting a little sweaty. I feel a bit nervous. I'm starting to feel a little bit like breathing heavily and something's happening. That's your cortisol level increasing. When you have a confident, positive experience, the level of testosterone in your bloodstream is higher and the level of cortisol is lower. Similarly, if you have a nervous, negative, subpar experience, the level of testosterone is low and the level of cortisol is higher. So these are really important things to note. Sankriti, can everybody hear me okay? Can you hear me? Because I'm seeing comments where people can't hear me.
Yes.
You can hear me? Okay, good. So
I think her internet is a bit disturbing.
Okay, great. Okay. Just wanted to check that. Thank you. So I want you guys now to try a practical example with me. So positive power poses. Remember, we talked about increased testosterone, low cortisol, just for 2 minutes. Now we're going to do this for 30 seconds just to prove a point. But there's some positive body power poses. I call it power poses because it makes you feel powerful. One of them could be like just leaning forward, like if you're sitting down on a desk, you can put your hands forward like this. Another one, I call this the Wonder Woman pose. It's where you put your hands on your hips like this. I want you to try the Wonder Woman pose. I call it Wonder Woman. You can call it whatever you want. It just helps me remember. But just try this. Sit upright. All of you at home, try this pose with me now. Put your hands on the hips. Take a few deep breaths. And we're only going to do this for 30 seconds. Take a few deep breaths. Just keep doing that. Just put your hands on your hips and really, really, head upright, chin up. Take a deep breath. And then I'm going to ask you now to write in the chat, how are you feeling after just doing that for just a few seconds? Just a few seconds. Sankriti, how are you feeling after doing it?
A bit more energetic.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Anyone else try it? How are you feeling? Anybody?
One could feel her body getting more oxygen.
And I can see some messages, relaxed, great, feeling more positive, relaxed, feeling good, feeling more confident.
Rejuvenating.
Exactly. Perfect. Well, thank you, Sankriti. Thank you, everyone. Feeling great. So here's the thing. We did that for what? 15 seconds, 20 seconds. and you suddenly felt, oh, I'm going to be more oxygen, you feel great. Imagine doing that for 2 minutes. Imagine doing that before you present, before you go on stage, before you go to an interview. That feeling where you said, I've got more oxygen coming in, that's raising your blood level, your brain testosterone level, and decreasing your cortisol. You're making yourself less stressed by having these power poses. Like I said, there are several different types. This is one that's easy to do. You can do it anywhere. And you can just lean forward. Just having an open body language is what it's about. On the other hand, what research has shown is that what decreases your level of testosterone and increases your cortisol, increases your stress hormones, are kind of sitting like this, sitting forward and sitting cross-armed. A lot of people do that. We all catch ourselves doing that. But if you do that, and some people swing back and forth, swinging like this, or, the other one that's really popular, that's really increases your stress hormones, is crossing your legs. Did you know that if you can cross your legs and you cross them under your desk or something, you can't see what I'm doing now, you can't see the slides, but imagine if you were crossing your legs, having that crossed feeling is actually restrictive. You're doing the reverse. Do that for a bit, and you're going to think, oh, instead of the increased oxygen, you're cutting off your oxygen supply. Where we talked before about your diaphragm being open, about to talk, and you're feeling good about sharing an idea, the opposite happens when you sit like this. So these are all things that we don't want to do. We've all done it. We all put our hands up before and said we've all caught ourselves doing it, or we know someone else that has. So if you catch yourself doing it, stop it, and you sort of change your body pose. Even if you don't have to put your hands on your hips, you can even just sit like this. Just, as long as you're feeling positive and engaged, your level of engagement increases. Your level of thinking increases. Your brain cells work more. Your memory increases if you have more oxygen. And that is exactly what this is doing. So these are some power poses that can really make a difference from now. So easy. 2 minutes actually physiologically changes your blood chemistry, but you've just seen what happens only after 15 seconds. That's the power of this. Any questions on that? And then I'm going to go into a summary.
Not till now, ma'am.
Okay, great. So now I'm just going to summarize really what we've talked about today. So after today, I'm going to set you some homework. I want you all to take one risk. I want you to do something once a week, starting from today, once a week. I want you to do one thing that you take out of your own comfort zone. Because risk-taking is part of what stops us being confident, being fearful, not being wanting to, oh, what's the worst thing that happens? Oh, this is not going to happen. Oh, that's not going to work out. Do something, one thing. And once a week, do something that takes you out of your comfort zone. It could be, a yoga pose. And you think, you know what? I'm going to do a bigger stretch today. It could be that, you know what? I've always wanted to reach out to a non-governmental organization and talk about a certain charity. I'm going to go and do that. Or it could be like, you know what? I know nothing about finance or business. I'm a zoologist. Well, you know what? I'm going to go pick up a newspaper, or I'm going to read something, an economic article, and find out what's going on in the world of business. Whatever it is, do one thing that you've always thought about, that you've kind of thought, you know what? I'll do it later. Don't do it later, do it now. But that's one thing. And then I all want you to start practicing your mantras, your daily mantras, where you repeat positive self-affirmations. You start in the morning and you repeat it during the day. Always look and feel your best when you're going out, because when you do that, that shapes how you feel. You look your best self, you feel your best self, that will shape how you feel as well. And then I want you all to be self-aware. What do we mean by self-aware? Well, how are you speaking? What is the tone of your voice? What is the pitch of your voice? Body language. How do you come across? How are you looking? Be self-aware of that. And then remember, practice makes perfect. Rehearse over and over again, not just once or twice, over and over again. Practice your slides if you've got slides. Practice what's going to happen if my slides don't work. What's going to happen? What's my plan B? Do it over and over again, then it doesn't become a problem. And then practice your positive power poses before you're going into any situation, whatever it is. Practice those positive power poses, deep breaths, meditating, practice those power poses. And then don't forget, believe in yourself. We talked about that inner Uma, that inner goddess of go-getting. We all have that inside of us. Remember, you can fake it till you become it when you believe in yourself. And spread your confidence. Confidence is contagious. Spread it to everybody out there. So remember that. We just talked about that. Confidence is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. You are in control. Remember, in life, we can't control the situation in life. What we can control is your own reaction to it. If somebody says something to me in life, I can't do that. If it rains when I thought it'd be sunny, I can't control that, but I can control my attitude. Do I approach it with negativity or positivity? Look at the grass is always greener attitude. The glass is always half full attitude, not half empty. Have a positive attitude and it will change your attitude. It will change other people's attitude because confidence is contagious. Remember, changing your body can change your mind. Your mind can change your behavior, and behaviors can actually change outcomes. You've got this, you're confident, and go out there and do your stuff. So with that note, I want to open up to questions.
Yes, we have a question. Namita has asked, ma'am, I have come to know that some medical students used to take some tablets to reduce anxiety before their presentation. Of course, it's not good. What do you want to advise them instead of it?
So here's the thing. I don't want to advise anyone medically. That's not what I'm here to do. What I will say, and I can't go into people's medical backgrounds and history, but what I would say is always start taking a deep breath, believe in believe in yourself. Try the power poses. Think of your attitude change and your own self-belief. Quite often, when we feel negatively, we feel the world's given up on us. We've actually given up on ourselves. Let's bring ourselves back. Let's bring that Uma, that inner goddess of go-getting out of ourselves. Let's bring that positive energy. Remember, you are unique. Nobody can do what you can the way you do it. So have that attitude with everything.
Absolutely. We have a participant who wants you to comment on, he has said that willingness to know with an ambition for new ideas can be a path of success in life. He wants you to comment on this.
So say that again, ambition.
Willingness to know with an ambition for new ideas can be a path of success in life.
Absolutely, yes. It's exactly what you just said, 100%. Having that willingness, that passion. Remember we talked about you have to be that passionate self. You got to really want to do this. Gives you that inner conviction. Passion drives conviction. Having that willingness to know, that conviction is what drives you. Why are you doing? Remember we said, why are you doing this? What is your why? What is your passion driving you? You have that passion, you have that drive, you are unstoppable. And then be and stick with it. Remember, the only thing stopping you is you. So I 100% agree with that statement because that's exactly the philosophy we're talking about here. Thank you for sharing that.
We have again one question from Arnav. He wants to ask that, is it very important to learn the body language while speaking, like moving my hands back and forth towards the audience or pointing on the board while presenting a presentation? And what if I don't have these practices? How can I learn?
So that's absolutely great question. So here's the thing. If you're presenting to somebody else, you are the modality of transferring information. When people learn or listen to your talk, what is the best way they can learn? Is it if they concentrate on you putting your hands in your pockets or doing things, or you want them to concentrate on the content? You want to be engaging. If you just give them something to read, anyone can read off a sheet of paper, but that's not going to stick with somebody. They can do that at home. If you are going to present, take the time to actually practice and present the best way. So yes, 100% look at your body language and you start today. Doesn't matter what you did in the past. That's the past. The past is the past. Always remember that. The future starts from now. You define your future. It starts from now. Practice the power poses we talked about. Practice taking deep breaths. Practice your body language. Practice your tone of voice. When you're presenting off slides, are you looking at the slides all the time? Or do you know them so well that when you go next, you know what's coming and you can just glance at it and you can glance back. Your attention needs to be on the audience. Remember last week when we talked about communication, we talked about the power of eye contact. It's the same here. Confidence comes across. It's a two-way journey. You're having a dialogue with somebody else. You're resonating with somebody else. If you're confident, somebody else will be as well. But you can practice those hacks from today itself.
Okay, ma'am. We have another question. How does one remain confident while talking to someone with higher stature, knowing that one wrong move could go against whatever outcome is desired?
So that's the power of negotiations. That topic we can actually save for another day. But here's the thing. When you are communicating, remember one thing we talked about last week when we did our communication talk. What's the first rule of communications? Listen. Listen first. Listen and empathize. Why is someone saying that? I remember last week someone talked about what if someone's angry about something? That's the same thing. How do you neutralize that? You listen. You stop. You listen first. You listen first. You see what it is going on. And then you slowly, after you've listened, you acknowledge, you repeat after what somebody said, and then you go in. By confidence, when you say your piece, confidence is all about listening, empathy. You're not entitled. Don't be arrogant. Just speak your piece, but say it in a way that is helpful to others, if that makes sense. So remember, some people are going to be in a different sort of mind frame or whatever. You might say something and then someone comes back and says something else. You know, if somebody's having a bad day, we can't control that. But we can negotiate, we can help reduce it, we can maintain it. We can't control someone else. We can't control the world, but we can control our attitude and our reaction. If somebody comes up and shouts at you, if you don't react and actually you listen back and you actually approach it lovingly, it neutralizes somebody. If you stop to pause and smile at somebody who's in a bad mood, they're going to stop and slowly that anger is going to dissipate. Time is the biggest lesson in all of this. And just listening and waiting sometimes.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. We have another question. She has asked that sometimes that it is hard to communicate and exert confidence when people have behavioral disorders like social anxiety disorder or PTSD, as it is not just psychological but physiological too, which is often undifferentiated from normal nervousness of normal people. So what's your view on this issue and how should other people perceive this?
Absolutely. So here's the thing, again, I don't want to give any medical advice here whatsoever, but what I would say that, we talked about some of the things that stop us from being confident. One of them can be trauma. One of them could be something that's bad has happened in the past. One of the ways of getting over that is repetition, and trying to face our fears. Remember, one of the homeworks I gave you for today was once very small, do something that takes you out of your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be the event that caused the trauma, but something else that takes you out. Because when you do something little, and you succeed in that little thing, it makes you feel better. It makes you feel like I can do this. That's all. Remember, we talked about goal setting. You don't want to set a goal that's unachievable. Structure it. Something little like that. So yes, no, we can't do things if you have like an actual medical condition. PTSD is an actual medical condition. If you have some sort of social anxiety, what helps that? Just repeating it and saying it's okay. But like I said, communication and confidence is different ways if you have that self-belief. If, for example, I'm not, but somebody I was training was very nervous of the camera. Somebody put in the comments, what happens if you have photophobia? I was training somebody that was photophobic. They could not look at an audience. They got so nervous. They were the introvert. Remember, we talked about extroverts, introverts. They were an introvert. So what I advised them to do, I said, you know what, know your stuff, know your voice, know what you're going to say, turn your camera off and just talk. Turn your camera off and just talk so you don't see other people's faces. And then see how that feels. And then slowly, you can start feeling that. It's not something you can rush. Remember, we said confidence is a muscle. A muscle doesn't get built overnight. It takes years of practice every single day. It's daily. It's a mantra. It becomes part of your DNA. Don't ever think confidence is something that you can just click your fingers and you can do. These professional tennis players, professional athletes out there, you think Hima could just run and she was went straight to the Olympics from day one? No. Years of practice, diet, change, lifestyle, everything had to change, but all the time with a support network around you. All of these things are there as well. So these are all factors that matter.
Yes, ma'am. We have another question. She wants to ask that how to tackle a situation when somebody interrupts you throughout a presentation, which disrupts the flow of that presentation from the beginning.
So there's a couple of things. If you are the presenter, you are in control. So I remember, for example, last week when I presented my slides kept pausing and other people were sharing their screen as well. Yes, it could have disrupted us, but did we let it disrupt us? No, we didn't. Sankriti was an incredible moderator. Sandeep was an incredible technical specialist. So they acted very, very quickly. You work as part of a team. For me, I gave a couple of housekeeping points and I said, hey, you know what? Let's leave the questions to the end. I define that process. If you have a moderator, they help you define that process too. So ultimately, don't let it get in your way. If somebody interrupts you, say, oh, thanks for the questions. I'm going to answer it at the end. You set that tone. You define the tone of your presentation. That makes you confident in that journey.
Till now, we are having only these queries. So any more queries? Anyone wants to ask anything? Can please ask, ma'am.
I can see some raised hands. I don't know if Sankriti, you want to just ask some people with raised hands to unmute and to ask away.
Yeah. Any one of those who have raised their hands can ask anything to ma'am. It's open for interaction. Okay, ma'am. Another question has come up. Arnav wants to know about your entrepreneurial journey.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my journey is I started off in a finance career. I was in investment banking for about a decade in London, and I ran a trading desk. So I was in sales trading. And then I transitioned into the healthcare pharmaceutical industry where I was a global head of business development. So I got to travel here, there, and everywhere. I settled in New York after I got married. I have 2 small children who are now 6 and 8. And the hardest job I've ever done is becoming a full-time mother. And I've got to tell you, the skills I learned were communications, confidence, negotiations, all of the things that we've actually been talking about because these are leadership skills. So I started my own company, Uma, because of that. I thought, you know what? What is the barrier to stop people from getting to being their best self?
Ma'am, you're muted. Ma'am, you're muted.
Oh, wow, that happened, Bison. Did you hear any of my response or was I muted the whole time?
No, ma'am, only the last part. Only the last few lines.
Okay, so I really started Uma in response to my personal journey. I wanted to figure out how to make people confident, have that inner spirit, communicate better, negotiate so they can be the leaders of tomorrow. So that's really a nutshell of my journey. It's really a story of my life. If you're an entrepreneur, I don't know if anybody here wants to become an entrepreneur later on, but that you're going to find a passion. Find a passion that you believe in. Find something that really, really enacts you. And if you believe in that and you have conviction, you can totally fight this through and get to where you want to.
Okay, ma'am, we have another question. That is it that confidence comes with general intelligence in a crucial situation?
I think there's a bit of common sense that helps. So confidence is one thing. Confidence is really your inner spirit. What can you do in spirit? So sometimes if you are a natural problem solver, you might think, okay, I know what to do in a situation. So I think things like having a little bit of common sense, what would you do in different situations, helps a little bit. I think being a good person in problem solving helps. What happens if, I'm at home and the light goes out? Do I just wait, do nothing, or do I go and find a candle and do I try and find a way around it? What happens if the water cooler goes out? What happens if the temperature goes? You have to figure out ways in life. You guys all do this in life already. You have common sense, you have the problem solving skills. So you already have everything that's needed. Confidence is just knowing you have that skill and knowing your way of dealing with something is unique and only you can do it that way.
One of our participants has asked that how can we communicate with another person when we are in depression?
So here's the thing. I always say that life is all about ups and downs. Always. That's life. Even if you meet the most confident person, there's no chance, it's not true if they tell you that every single day they get up and they're always happy about life and everything. So here's the thing. Depression is actually a medical condition. So I'm not going to go into the medical side of it, but if you're feeling just low, feeling a bit down, and you're like, I just don't want to interact with people right now, what do I do? That's the kind of thing that some of the hacks I taught you about today can help. Having some confidence mantras, having some self-belief. Think of the good things and the positive things that you've achieved in your life. Start writing them down and start remembering that you did that. Start thinking about what are you excited about. There's got to be something that you think, I've always wanted to do that. It might not be something academic. It could be like, I want to go for a walk and smell the flowers, whatever it is, or smell the rain. But actually going out, it's little steps at a time. So just in starting to enjoy life and remembering what is that conviction can be the little steps you need to get started on your journey. It's different for everybody.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I think this will be the last question. We have the question goes as, can we measure confidence?
Can you measure confidence? You absolutely can, but confidence is unique. So nobody else outside can say, oh, yes, I think you're more confident than that person. Confidence is unique. Confidence comes from within. People talk about measuring confidence. It comes from within. You are the only person that can measure your confidence. You are the only person that is in charge of it. You choose your attitude and your reaction.
One of our participants has wanted to ask you something that do you have any plan for publishing books?
So I actually published a book last year during the pandemic. It's on women in business and diversity and inclusion. And I have another one coming out, hopefully at some point in the new year as well. But thank you for asking that question.
That's great. That's great, ma'am. We would love to read it.
Absolutely. Yes. I'll keep you posted. And then Sankriti, I can see Aparna, Raju, and Rabia have their hands raised. So I don't know if we want to ask them.
Yes, ma'am. They have raised their hands. So I have already asked them if they wanted to ask you anything, they can ask. I don't think so, ma'am.
If there's no further questions, then just reminder, anyone can find me. I'm on LinkedIn, Rita Kapotisha on LinkedIn, so you can just look that up and you can find me. But yeah, I'm always available. And if there's questions, you can always ask the question to Sankriti. And Sankriti, if there's lots of questions, you can send them to me. I'd be very happy to answer them afterwards. So.
Sure, definitely. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for this wonderful session. And
of course.
So now moving on, I would like to request a respected president of Zoological Society of Assam, Priyabrata Lokar sir, to kindly say a few words.
Thank you, Sankranti. Today, actually, nothing to say. What I listened to Rita is building confidence. How to build confidence. If you have sufficient knowledge for a subject or for a topic, and if you have knowledge to communicate well, then the confidence will automatically be there. I have that confidence that I am well sure of the fact that Rita will give a very nice talk today. That is my knowledge I have, and so I had it, I learned it. So, and I want to communicate with her, keeping my eyes contact and with my body language. So this is all about the confidence, what I actually learned from you. Thank you very much for your nice presentation. I would like
Thank
to
you so much.
meet you in the next on 31st of July. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. We have with us uh, our head of the department and General Secretary of Zoological Society of Assam, that is Professor Jugen Chandra Kalita, sir. I request him to kindly say a few words.
Yeah, Sankranti, it's a wonderful session we had in the first day also. And today it is very important that Bhavani Baidu could sing a song from London. I actually experienced and we enjoyed her live performance 22 years back. And still she has been singing and she has been working for the development of Assamese culture as well as she has been writing something for the people of Assam. I'm very happy that her parents are very delighted to see that Rita has been helping the people of Assam. And we, the very senior, like Priyapatal Okkar sir, Dr. Balendra Kumar Das, and many, together with you, very young generation people are getting the benefit. Because it is not like that we are not getting benefit. We are also getting benefit equally like the young generation. So it's very important, Rita. This time we are planning for 4 days, but I have a discussion with universities, few of the universities, and 25 colleges in Assam to introduce this type of program officially. And if you can help from United States of America or maybe your team, because I am sure that you will know many resourceful people across the globe. So that way we'll be doing some officially designed program. And will be designing the program and you will be contributing in teaching and learning. And let us see how it works. And I am sure it works because I am getting feedback, a long list of appreciation note for you, as well as they are also asking us if we can have physical meeting sometimes when COVID will be away from us. And I know that you love Assam, and whenever you will be visiting us, please let us know beforehand so that I can take you at least to 10 plus colleges. And also, we have 16 universities in nearby till okay up to Dibrugarh. So we can have at least 4 5 interactive sessions which are offline sessions. Okay, eye contact, direct eye contact. So thank you, Samkranti and your team. And Rita, you will be okay, happy to note that 10 and 20 research scholars, they are working from the behind the screen. Okay, from stage, they are helping us. And today, even now, we have more than 100 people here in this particular Google Meet and also many in the YouTube. Okay, and 2 3 persons they are requesting me to go with okay Facebook Live. I told them that I'll have to take the permission from Rita whether we can go with Facebook Live because somebody may not like. So this we will discuss with you. Okay, have a good day because your time is morning and our time is evening. So well, good evening to all of us and good morning and have a good day, Rita. And we'll meet again you, okay, in our next session. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I was going to say that I would absolutely love to continue the conversation. And my services are there to build something that is for all over. And yes, when I do come to Assam, that would be fantastic to do these in-person, offline, actual face-to-face presentations and meetings.
Sankranti,
Yes,
I,
yes, sir.
I want to say something to Rita. So I'm really thankful to your mother, Bhavani Baidu, for a nice song she rendered from London. Really, I'm very happy. I forgot to tell you at that time. My gratitude to please express my thanks and gratitude to her. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I will. Thank you so much. I will definitely pass on the message. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. And ma'am, a lot of appreciations is flowing out there in the chat box for you. So, as we have come to the end of today's session, that is the second day of this webinar series, which was really, really informative, motivating, and inspiring. Now, I would like to request Rajeshri Deka, who is the research scholar of Department of Zoology of Guwahati University, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sankranti, and a very good morning, Rita ma'am, and a very good evening to all the respected members present here. It was indeed a very wonderful and motivating session. At the very onset, I would express my heartfelt gratitude to Miss Rita Kakoti Shah ma'am for her inspiring session. We all are very grateful to you, ma'am. I am also very much thankful to our respected Sri Priyabata Lokar sir, President of the Zoological Society of Assam, and respected Dr. Balendra Kumar Das sir, Working President of the Zoological Society of Assam, for being with us in every step and encouraging and supporting every time. I would like to express my profound gratitude to our respected head of the Department of Zoology of Guwahati University and General Secretary of Zoological Society of Assam, Professor Jogen Chandra Kalita sir, for his constant encouragement and support. Thank you so much, sir. My sincere thanks goes to Dr. Balin Kumar Bhuiya sir, Principal Naga Girls College, for gracing this webinar. Also, I would like to thank all the members of the organizing committee and everyone who helped us. Finally, I would like to thank all the invitees and participants from various organizations and institutions for attending this webinar. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you so much. Over to you, Sanjanti.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope to meet you all in the next day, that is the 31st of July. Looking forward for another beautiful session.
Okay. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Yeah.